Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert. On this channel, we talk Kanye West, and today we're talking the next chapter of the Kid Cudi Ye drama. Cudi did an interview with Esquire that released earlier today, and he commented on the situation with Kanye, and it's not happy. You can see here just from the complex clip. And Mike Dean says the drama is so crazy with Mike having worked with both of them, like knowing them. Just even commenting it at all was kind of shocking. It was just like, oh yeah, this is crazy enough to where Mike's just like, this is crazy. So we're going to get into the interview and what Cudi said. I'm not scrolling further up at the start of the article how I normally would, because there's a picture of Cudi in a sock. That's right, Cudi in a sock. That's not YouTube friendly. So we won't be going there, but you can see here that this starts in the Blue Room. Cudi declined to say anything about Kanye West, the artist we now know simply as Ye, and their severed relationship. He knew that if he spoke about it, a journalist wouldn't be able to resist writing about it, and he's appreciated the peace of not hearing or dealing with that stuff at all. He hasn't even processed the end of the friendship himself, but as we speak, he realizes the best response to someone who's an expert at stealing the spotlight is to steal it back. So just a brief reminder of what happened was that Ye had posted to Instagram this handwritten note. The fact that he took time to handwrite this note is kind of funny. But just so everyone knows, Cudi will not be on Donda because he's friends with you-know-who, Pete Davidson. We all speak in Bible language now. So Cudi and Pete have been friends for a while. I think there was a point where they weren't. I think I remember when Pete was first on SNL getting started, he talked about how Kid Cudi's music saved his life and how much Cudi meant to him. And I think it was after Cudi heard that the two kind of connected, became friends. And that's why there's that photo of Ye, Cudi, Pete Davidson, Timothy Chalamet at dinner at Nobu, because it's just like Pete and Cudi became friends. And it seems like in the aftermath of Pete starting to date Kim, Cudi was he was Switzerland, right? He's like, I'm a neutral territory in this. Like, Ye, I'm your friend. I'm Pete's friend. I'm just going to stay out of it. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, if the two of them had conversations and it just wasn't going well. And then Ye went public with it. But all of a sudden, Ye went public with the fact that like Cudi being friends with Pete was a problem for him. And Cudi's response was, too bad I don't want to be on your album, you effing dinosaur. Ha ha ha. Everyone knows I've been the best thing about your album since I met you. 2008. I'm a pray you for, brother. Okay, peace. And he said, we talked about this weeks ago. You're whack for flipping the script and posting this lie just for a look on the internet. You ain't no friend. Bye. So it seems like they did have an in-person conversation or a talk over the phone or text or something, and it seems like Cudi thought that they were in an okay spot, and then Ye is just like, nope, not happy about this. So it's like, I get why Ye fans, a lot of Kanye fans have pointed out that Ye didn't say anything negative about Cudi. He's just like, hey, you're friends with Pete. I feel like that's disloyal, so you're not going to be on the album. But he did talk bad about him, didn't say anything like that. So there have been people that are pointing out like Cudi's response seems a little sensitive or overreactive to call him a dinosaur and really like burn the bridge. So there's been back and forth as Cudi fans are like, well, no, Ye didn't have to do this. Like, he brought all this attention and stress to Cudi. Why would he do that? And then Ye fans are like, well, why'd Cudi like say this? Why didn't he just say, we'll talk about it in private or something, or let it go? And you would hope that both of them, having gone through as much as they have, making kids see ghosts together, would have more patience for maybe what the other is going through. But also at the same time, if you've spent that much time with someone and know them so well, it's very easy just to be like, I know exactly what you're doing. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to deal with it. See ya. There's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we know nothing about that I think it's hard to really judge just from this, like, how severe of a response Cudi had here versus what's gone on behind the scenes. But it is something where I'm just like, well, calling him a dinosaur is pretty insane. And then Cudi has not been the best thing about his album. So it's like, it's not even like a strong, a strong point, but that's some of the drama of what has been going on. And then, of course, Kanye pulled out a Rolling Loud. Cudi stepped into headline. People threw bottles at him. He left the stage. Ye appeared and performed with Lil Durk at the same time that Cudi would have been performing. And people have speculated, like, oh, Ye was trying to just, like, it was Machiavellian maneuver to get in, like, Cudi's head or to, like, take a shot without taking a shot. Ye even played Father Stretch My Hands Part 1. There have been people that have gone so far as to say that Ye dropped out a Rolling Loud knowing that Cudi would replace him to set Cudi up for failure, which just seems like such an... who would spend the time to do that? But Ye did take another shot between that initial post and just like 2 weeks ago when he posted that newspaper headline that said that celebrating Pete and Kim's breakup. And he mentioned in the very bottom in this fine print that Cudi was going to perform at Skeet's funeral, but was scared of people throwing things. So just like a little acknowledgement of Cudi leaving the stage that is like a dig, right? There's no way around that. So getting into the article finally after 6 minutes. The studio is a brand new label open space in Chelsea equipped with a spectacular Dolby Atmos system. I don't ever get to hear it. Settling into a fluffy cream chair, the texture of an Ugg boot. These interviews are always like so detailed. They want you to feel like you're in the room. Cudi begins to let off steam. He and West have been tethered for more than a decade as both friends and collaborators ever since Cudi signed to West label Good Music in 2008. They appeared in each other's recent documentaries and multiple other projects, though Cudi sees an imbalance. I've been on every one of that man's albums. He's only been on 2 of mine. Has he been? 808s, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Yeezus. But I think the Yeezus recording was from something older, and Cudi didn't know he was on the album at first and was surprised that he was on the album, if I remember correctly. The Life of Pablo. Ye, Could See Ghosts. Not Jesus is King, but Donda. Yeah, that's a lot. And he's only been on 2 of mine. Yeah, Ye was on whatchamacallit, Man on the Moon, and then I don't even know the second one. It wasn't Man on the Moon 2. Was it Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying? That should tell you something. And don't think I didn't ask. Okay, that was my next question. Like, how much was Cudi asking Ye to like be on his album? So he asked. Over the years, the two have repeatedly feuded, mostly over creative differences, but they reconciled publicly. Then in February of this year, so one of their big feuds was 2016, because Cudi's really good friends with Dot the Genius, producer, and Dot was married to Gene Aiko, and then Gene divorced Dot to date Big Sean, and Cudi was really upset with Big Sean, and the two of them had been close as well. They were all good music label mates, and Ye was the Cudi in the situation of like Ye and Pete, right? So he was the one that was friends with Cudi and Big Sean, and Ye was still cool with Big Sean, producing his album, making music with him, and Cudi got really upset about the whole situation, and that led to that first public feud in 2016 between Ye and Cudi, where they eventually, like, Ye first called Cudi out, and then a week later was apologizing, and then, like, a week after that, the two were hugging at the St. Pablo tour, like, that kind of timeline. But that was from a very similar situation to the Pete and Cudi situation. Anyway, mostly over creative differences, but they reconciled publicly. Then in February of this year, West announced that Cudi wasn't featured on his Donda 2 album. I just said this. I talked about this. On Instagram, he posted a photo, Everyone knows I've been the best thing. Do you know how it feels to wake up one day, look at your social media, and you're trending because somebody's talking some stuff about you? He asks. And then you got this person's troll sending you messages on Instagram and Twitter, all in your comments. That stuff pissed me off. I do wonder, like, were people trolling him and like sending messages on Instagram and Twitter before he called Ye a dinosaur and he was just annoyed with it and that's why he said that? Or was it like the consequences of his own actions kind of thing? Which, like, kind of at that point, you know, if you respond publicly negatively to somebody like Ye, there's going to be people that come out swinging at you. I wonder how that went, but that he had the power to mess with me that week, that he used his power to mess with me, that pissed me off. So it does seem like Cudi took it like real personal, right? That he like messed with me that week, but I don't know what it was about that week in particular that had Cudi so upset. Like, was that week special in some way? Was it emotional in some way? Like, what was it about that week? And was it really like him? I still don't think what Ye said in and of itself is that, like, Cudi has context that it does like hit harder for him on a personal level, but from like our wider view, I think if Cudi wouldn't have said anything, or he had just responded like, sorry to hear that, more people would have been on his side and maybe not necessarily trolling him. But when he fights back, all of a sudden now it becomes a battle. It becomes the Civil War, if you've seen the Civil War meme. But yeah, he talks about, you're messing with my mental health now, bro. Cudi eventually brushed it off and burrowed into his peace bubble. Here in the studio, he leans forward in his chair, a blunt between his fingers. I'm at a place in my life where I have zero tolerance for the wrong energies. I've watched so many people throughout the years that are close to him be burned by him doing some messed up stuff, which we've all kind of heard about, right? Like, he signs people and maybe never moves forward with their albums or doesn't quite like work with them in the way that they had hoped. Like, you could just imagine most recently, which I think a lot of you that came aboard during the Donda era know Casey Pluto, right? And Casey was working with Ye like so much in at least 2020, like maybe 2019, 2020 into 2021. Like, he's around when the album's coming out. He puts in all that time and effort. He's named on Yeezy Sound when Ye posts about it on Twitter. And then what does he, like, he gets removed from Donda, kicked to a part 2, right? And then you don't really hear as much of what he did on the album, given how much he worked on Donda leading up or through the iterations to the finalized version of the album. And you would hope that in the aftermath of that, he's expecting maybe like, Ye's gonna help me on my album. I'm gonna get some like recognition, shine, maybe a guest feature or something. And it doesn't seem like Casey's been getting that support. And there are just all these artists over the years that have signed with Good Music, I think, expecting some kind of rapport or support from Ye that really haven't necessarily gotten it in the way that they probably hoped for, expected, and it's left a lot of people kind of bitter with their Good Music experience. Maybe not necessarily toward Ye himself, but maybe with the whole situation. And then we know that people have like come and gone. We know that Ye, just from like the times that he's been sued by businesses, often can start to work with people, feel a vibe with pursuing something with them, and then suddenly shift gears, cut them off, and they're left hanging. I mean, the same thing happened to us in a less dramatic way, but just inviting us to come down to Miami for an interview. Well, we suspect it was for an interview since he was responding to our request for it, like, come to Miami, and then no further like comments, instruction, any of the people that he works with that we reached out to. Nobody had any words for us. His assistant didn't really have anything for us. So it's just kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of time that people are kind of left hanging, where it's just like, yeah. And you can imagine when that finally happens to you, when you're Cudi in that situation where you've seen this happen to so many other people, and then suddenly you're the one that's getting the Instagram post about you. You're the one that's now getting all this press and attention from the spotlight of Ye. Yeah, but he goes, and then they turn around and forgive him, and there's no repercussions. You're back cool with this man. He does it over and over, which, I mean, that's each person's choice, right? I mean, some of them might be upset, like, but that doesn't mean that they weren't okay with what happened or don't understand what happened or maybe don't have ill will towards Ye himself. I mean, a lot of the people that work with him, that have met him, even the brief time that I've talked with him, he was very nice. And we do know that he can get caught up, he can wild out on social media, but you don't really hear all him doing mean things to people. Maybe just Pete, right? But for the average person, so I get why there's often no repercussions, why people forgive him. You hear about Big Sean and Ye and what went on there, and that sucks to hear, and it sucks to like have someone say about you, especially someone that you think is as close to you as Big Sean thought he and Ye were. But ultimately, like, they have a discussion, they make amends. It just seems like maybe Cudi is frustrated in some way and wanting to kind of be the person that says, like, no, there is a line, you crossed it, and there are consequences for this. I see nobody else like bringing these consequences where, well, I'm going to be the person that says, like, nope, not good. Quickly, I know this video is already getting long. I had this happen in college. There was somebody I was really, really close with for my first couple of years of college. And then I studied abroad in Australia. And this person, for the first couple of years that we were hanging out, talking all the time, like, we were best friends. I saw them ignore so many people. They get text messages, they'd hit ignore it. He'd get phone calls, ignore it. And when he would finally call back, text back, like, his dad, family, like, girls that he was dating, like, other friends, he would always lie. I'd be like right there with him, and he'd be like, sorry, I was on the phone with somebody else, like, what do you want, da 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 da. And he'd always kind of like look at me and laugh whenever he'd do something like that. But I spent years seeing that behavior, and when I got back from Australia, I called him, and I think I forget what it was, but I called and he answered and then quickly hung up. And I was like, that was weird. And then I kept calling over the next few days, was getting an answer. I was sending text messages, was it getting an answer? And I'd seen it. Like, I'd seen him do this to so many people. And I finally just called him and left a voicemail that was like, if I did something that upset you, like, let's talk about it. I didn't mean to upset you. Like, I don't want the relationship to be in the spot that it's in. But I also know the games that you've played with other people, and I'm not going to sit here and play the same game of continually reaching out while you're just ignoring me. Like, so if that's the case, like, screw off. And we did a talk for like another 2.5 years, 3 years, and he finally just randomly called me one day. And we never talked about it. Never once was I just like, hey, man. But we ended up being fine after that. It was never the same again. Like, he drifted off to other things. I went other ways. I left Ohio. But I've been that person that was just like, no, I've seen you do this to others. I'm not going to let you do it to me. So I get where Cudi's coming from in that way too. He addresses West directly. I'm not one of your kids. I'm not Kim. It don't matter if I'm friends with Pete or not friends with Pete. None of this stuff had anything to do with me. If you can't be a grown man and deal with the fact that you lost your woman, that's not my problem. You need to own up to your stuff like every man in this life has. I've lost women too, and I've had to own up to it. I don't need that in my life. I don't need it. There's also the consideration there that when Cudi, he went through a really dark period, I think in that like 2013 to 2017 area, like really dark. He had some tweets that were disturbing. He was like getting arrested, I think, or there was stuff with his like kid's mom, his ex, that was really like dramatic and scary. And then he ended up having to go get like treatments and therapy and help because he was just like at the edge. And I can imagine that Ye being in a similar spot could cause Cudi to have some residual feelings. Like, I can't go there with you, and I can't put myself where you are because I've been through that. I can't go back to that. I don't want to go back to that. And just kind of having some distance. The same thing happens. Like, I lost both of my parents. I was 20 when my dad died, 25 when my mom died. And you would think that I'd be really good when I've had friends that have had loss because I've been through it. I've had these experiences that I could talk to them and reach out, but there's still a fear in me when that happens of me reliving those feelings. And I'm not like the best person to talk to. I still have those conversations. I'm still there for my friends, of course, but there is that fear and a little bit of hesitation that comes with it, where it's not this grand philosophical, like heartfelt, like a Alcoholics Anonymous, like we're all meeting together and crying the way that it would. There's still a guardedness there. So I could imagine that it's maybe a same thing with Cudi. This is just kind of triggering for him overall. Cudi is also bothered by the idea that people credit his success to someone other than him and his original team of producers, Plain Pat's, Oladipo Amashore, that's Dr. Genius, and Emil Haney. He says he was hesitant to sign to Good Music. His fear manifested when West released 808s and Heartbreak, and you heard Cudi's haunting vocals on the second track and his songwriting throughout, playing what he felt was a critical role when he had yet to release his debut album. Cudi's a little stuck here. He was a young rapper who emerged in the shadow of a superstar. I just want to clear that up for anybody that feels like Kanye made my career or made me who I am. He brought me on to do 808s. I thought that was really awesome. I wanted to be part of the family and saw Good Music as that opportunity. So I finally said, yeah, Kanye West did not come and pluck me out of Applebee's or the Bape store. I mean, Cudi was, his mixtape was like popular, but I mean, if it was at Applebee's or the Bape store, it was a step, like one step up from Applebee's and the Bape store. This is a lot of talk about Kanye for someone who didn't want to discuss him. Cudi says the difference is that he's speaking about it on his own terms. If there is an olive branch in the future, and I do get this, like other artists, I think Ye has benefited from other artists in that way. Like Travis Scott was working on Yeezus a lot. So a lot of that darker sound of Yeezus was fitting for Ye at the time, but also came from Travis Scott. And we've seen Travis Scott's discography and how there's similarities there. Or you could, in hindsight, look back and see how Yeezus was kind of influenced by Travis Scott working on it. And people point to like Chance the Rapper having some inspirations and influence on the life of Pablo. You can look at Aunt Clemens with Ye and Jesus is King. And then we saw all the people that were involved in whatchamacallit, Donda, and then how they're all going to go off and kind of establish their sounds. But Ye's always kind of finding artists who are up and coming and sampling their sound or using them as leverage on his albums to improve them. But I don't necessarily feel like, I guess it might be like, oh, if this album from this big artist sounds like my album, but I think it just kind of primed everybody for Cudi when Man on the Moon finally dropped. It was just this excitement, right? Rather than this like, oh, he's just copying 808s and Heartbreak. And then here, this was it. Okay. If there's an olive branch in the future, it's somewhere lost in the woods. Cudi continues, with all due respect, I'm not Drake, who's about to take a picture with him next week and be friends again, and their beef is squashed. That's not me. What I say, I mean. Though they have squashed beef in the past, I will be done with you. It's going to take a miracle for me and that man to be friends again. I don't see it happening. He's going to have to become a monk. Since this is Ye we're talking about, I consider this unlikely but not impossible. I think that's an interjection from the author. In a twist of fate, Cudi replaced West, blah, 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 blah. Cudi has decided that letting go is the most adult thing he can do. The twisted thing is that I love him, but I love you so much that I can kick you out of my life and be done with you. Because you are not good for me, he says, closing his sentiment with an affirmation popularized by the great turn-of-the-century philosopher Samantha Jones. I love myself more, I love myself more. Cudi repeats it like a mantra. This is now his keep moving forward, you know? Still addressing his former friend, I didn't love myself all them years you knew me. I love myself more now, bro. I love myself way more. I mean, it's definitely insightful, and it's definitely seems like Cudi's like coming to terms with something and still working through a lot of stuff. And I wish overall, in 24 minutes into this, I don't know how many people are still listening, to keep in mind that Ye and Cudi both made Kid Cudi to talk about their mental health, and both of them are still trying to figure out their stuff. And it's like sometimes it might be helpful to do that together, but sometimes it might just be impossible to do that together, and you need some distance. And just to kind of have some, the same way that you would want Cudi to have patience for Ye, have some patience for Cudi. Like, you might disagree with how it is, but you don't need to like hound him, call him out. I've seen so much vitriol online directed at him, like adding him, commenting on his stuff, like trying to take him down on behalf of Kanye. And I don't think that's necessary. I don't think Ye wants that. I don't think anyone wants that. You don't need to do it. I mean, I myself have been guilty of complaining about things, but directing it directly at him, it's just like, remember, there's a person dealing with their own stuff, and the more patient you can be with a celebrity that you don't even know, won't even interact with, hopefully the more patient you can be with others in your life, and hopefully the more patient they will be with you if you're ever dealing with something. So kind of just give out that energy that you want to get back, and whether you're angry at Cudi or angry at Ye or whatever, just try to take a step back and say, I'm going to have some patience, some love, and try and show some understanding before I show anger. I think that's mostly what I want to take out of this, or want to say out of this. And that's not just for this situation. It's for like all situations mostly, unless somebody's saying some like egregious stuff, in which case it's just like, come on. But for the most part, when it is people that have gotten along and we're at this point in the relationship, I just think we need to kind of step back and be like, yeah, there's just a lot going on here, and hopefully they work it out one day, but maybe not. Maybe not, maybe not. And Cudi had clarified about Drake, which was kind of ironic because like Drake said some mean stuff about Cudi in 2016, especially like taking some like dark shots at Cudi's mental health, and the two were not on good terms. And then Cudi like took to Twitter in the aftermath of this interview and was just like, I just want to let Drake know that I didn't mean anything and that we're cool. And it's just like, okay. I mean, maybe that just goes to show, like, you know, it's been 6 years since then. Maybe like 6 years after this, everything's going to be fine with him and Ye. But that's it for this video. Until next time, stay wavy and keep it loopy. Cheers.